Hi, this is Lindsay, and for Project 1, we are booted up into Alice's virtual machine. Bob and Eve are also booted up as well. First, just to show that Alice is working correctly, as you can see on the ENP0S3, what's it called? The IP address for that is 192.168.1.101. And that matches the IP address that was provided in the assignment. And for the first part of task 1, we will ping over to Bob, who has the IP address of 192.168.1.102. And as we can see, one of the packets was transmitted and received without any packet loss, and as you can see there, it seems as if the min, average, max, and deviation are 1.412, 1.412, 1.412, and 0. And now we are going to inspect the ARP table, and that is what we get, which is essentially Bob's IP address. And since we want to delete Bob's entry from the table, we then perform this command, which will essentially delete Bob's IP address. And we do that. We put in Alice's password. And in order to check it, we now see nothing shows up for the ARP table. Okay, so once we initially delete Bob's virtual machine from the ARP table, we want to perform this ping that's in the terminal right now, and ping to both Bob and Eve, which you can tell the difference with Bob ending in 102 and Eve ending in 105. And we wait. And now Eve's packet was transmitted, and even though there was packet loss, both will still show up in the ARP table. And despite the assignment providing sudo ip nay flush dev etho or eth0, for these they require enp0s3 instead of eth0. And the IP has to be lowercase, which will clear the entire ARP table. And now if we check this, we'll see nothing shows up. So the entire ARP table was cleared with that one command. Okay, so now we want to start the TCP dump on Bob and configure it so that it only captures the ARP protocol. And to do this, we would do sudo tcp dump -pi, and instead of eth0, we want to do enp0s3, since that's the interface that's used for Bob, Alice, and also Eve, but in this case for Bob and Alice. And do ARP at the end so that we make sure it only captures the ARP protocol. And now it's listening on this interface. And now that we have Bob listening in on the ENP0S3 interface, we want to make sure that there's nothing in the ARP table, especially nothing relating to Bob. So we'll delete any entries that are present as far as that goes, and we see that there's no ARP entry right now. So now we want to ping Bob. Let's see. And we can see after we switch over to Bob that it is listening in on basically the TCP is listening in on what was just pinged. And after that, we will delete the entry, since we don't really need to do anything else after that, at least as far as Alice goes. And as you can see over on Bob's virtual machine, the second that we pinged Bob, it showed that it was listening on ENP0S3. And it shows the different requests and replies between Alice and Bob. And now we want to Control-C out of this. And we see 4 packets have been captured, 4 have been received, and 0 packets dropped. And with that, we quit TCP dump. And now we will restart it with the option to print link level header information. And we'll do it via this command, 0+3. And now we are listening in again. And now back to Alice's virtual machine. We will resend a single ICMP echo request to Bob by pinging him once again, or pinging the virtual machine. And we can see it's listening in, and you can see the requests and the replies between Alice and Bob. And now we got a decent amount of requests and replies, so we can just quit TCP dump and restart it once again with the option to print the data of each packet and only capture the telnet protocol. And we'll do this via this command. And telnet. And now we're listening in again on that interface. Switching back over to Alice once again, we will then telnet from Alice and Bob in order to log in. Now, despite that it says it's unable to connect, we can see that telnet has appeared to work as it goes from Alice to Bob and from Bob back to Alice.
Okay, so now on Eve, we will be launching an ARP poisoning attack onto Bob's machine via EtherCap. First, I had to make sure that EtherCap was installed, which, as can be seen, here at sudo apt install EtherCap common. That was already installed, and we wanted to make so that IPv4 forwarding was enabled, and we wanted to also install the EtherCap text-only settings, or package, I should say. And now that those are installed, we then use EtherCap, given this command right here, sudo EtherCap -t-2q-i Ethernet 0 at this IP address, which is Bob's IP address, and this is the virtual switch IP address, and now it is starting unified sniffing on Bob's virtual machine. Okay, for ARP Watch, we want to configure on Bob's virtual machine and turn ARP Watch on, which we do with right up here with ARP Watch on command, and with the service ARP Watch start, which requires authentication, put in the password, and authentication is complete. And you can watch on a specific interface, and since we want to check and see that an ARP spoofing is going to happen from Eve's machine to Bob's machine, we want to check on the ETH0 interface, which is what Eve runs on. And as you can see down here, Eve's ARP spoofing is detected once we check the ARP table, as you can see at 192.168.1.105 on this interface. Now for Eve, we want to be able to do an ARP spoofing attack on Bob's virtual machine, and after getting Bob's ARP watch service started, we want to go into, well, we want to do sudo/s in order to get to the root of Kali and perform the ARP spoof -i or -i on ETH0, and the target will be Bob's IP address, and we will be doing it from Eve's virtual machine. And now you can see the ARP reply is at this, which is the same value right here as it is on Bob's virtual machine when you check the ARP table. And